Again tonight, and they continue to paint a less than flattering picture of the nominee and her top advisors. Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry is here to take a look. Good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Brett. These hacked emails continue to rock Clinton's campaign, showing her aides have privately shown some contempt for various blocks of voters, from Latinos to Catholics and now Southerners as well.
New details are spilling out about the campaign's response to Congressman Trey Gowdy, who issued a subpoena on March 3, 2015 for Hillary Clinton to preserve all emails and later demanded the private server on March 20th. Clinton spokesman Nick Merrill emailed colleagues that same day about having a vulnerability meeting earlier in the day with top advisors like Cheryl Mills. Merrill wrote the campaign should tell the press it was confident, quote, everyone will see that it's all there and then some in terms of official email. Later on March 20th, Clinton Chairman John Podesta reached out to the White House Chief of Staff. Podesta writing to President Obama's top aide Dennis McDonough, quote, free for a call? At the end of March, the IT firm that maintained the server used BleachBit to delete thousands of emails, according to the FBI, though there's no proof Clinton herself knew the emails were deleted after Gowdy's subpoena. And Clinton claimed ignorance when pressed by Fox at an August 2015 news conference.
Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something?
There's also more evidence the Clinton camp tried to rig the primary process against Senator Bernie Sanders. In November 2014, campaign manager Robbie Mook emailed Podesta about moving the Illinois primary later than March to make it more favorable for Clinton. Mook writes about sweetening the pot for Illinois by giving them, quote, a bonus of 10% extra delegates if they move to April and 20% if they move to May. Mook added, the key point is that this is not a President Obama ask, but a Hillary ask, and the Clintons won't forget what their friends have done for them. The Illinois primary stayed in March, and Clinton carried it by 25,000 votes. And while her campaign boasts publicly about bringing people together, emails show in private Clinton officials attacked various Americans beyond the candidate's own comments about supporters of Donald Trump being a basket of deplorables. Clinton aides called backers of Sanders self-righteous whiners, referred to Hispanic party leaders like Bill Richardson as needy Latinos. Southerners were slammed when Podesta wrote about the 2015 Miss America pageant to liberal activist Neera Tanden. Podesta asking, quote, do you think it's weird that of the 15 finalists in Miss America, 10 came from the 11 states of the CSA, or Confederate States of America? Tanden shot back, not at all. I would imagine the only people who watch it are from the Confederacy. And by now they know that, so they've rigged the thing in their honor. There are also nasty clashes with Democrats like New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. When the mayor again declined to formally endorse Clinton, Mook wrote, wow, what a terrorist.
And as Bernie Sanders rose with that anti-Wall Street message, Clinton aides privately struggled to react, with chief strategist Joel Benenson writing, quote, do we have any sense from her, meaning Clinton, what she believes or wants her core message to be? A suggestion that even at the very top of the campaign, they didn't really understand why she wanted to be president. And yet here she is in our latest poll, winning, and the lead is expanding.
Yeah. The email stuff with the timing there is really interesting, ahead of that subpoena, ahead of her wiping the server. But there's also new developments on the investigation into the Clinton Foundation.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is it's coming from a surprising source, not a conservative critic, but the center-left Fusion.net doing a long investigation and finding that in Colombia, some of the Clinton Foundation work helped their friends get lucrative contracts instead of aiding poor people on the ground, similar to what we heard about Haiti. Clinton aides maintain they're proud of the work, but look at this email from campaign manager Robbie Mook to Cheryl Mills, October 2014. Quote, one question that's specific to the foundation, whether it will still have and or use her name, Clinton's, next year. Do you know what their plan is for that? It only matters for research and press purposes, i.e. it will invite press scrutiny, and she'll be held accountable for what happens there. Mook was certainly right about that, Brett. Scrutiny indeed, but we still don't know whether there's going to be accountability come November.
Okay, Ed, thank you. More on this with the panel. A couple of more information, emails about the foundation and money. Hillary Clinton is on the West Coast tonight, making appearances and raising money, but concerns are mounting among her team that Donald Trump might be trying to come out on top by taking the entire race to the gutter. Senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel reports tonight from Beverly Hills.
Hillary Clinton is back in California, even though her win in the Golden State is not in doubt.
she's raising major campaign cash and will do another friendly interview with Ellen DeGeneres to appeal to a daytime TV audience. Yet Clinton and her allies are worried her opponent, Donald Trump, is now running a race to the bottom to suppress voter turnout.
And we cannot let this pessimism, this dark and divisive and dangerous vision of America take hold in anybody's heart.
The daily drip, drip, drip of campaign chairman John Podesta's email leaks are also a cause for concern. One July 2015 email from Podesta expressed anxiety about the criticism Clinton would face for the Iran nuclear deal. He worried about Republican Senator Lindsey Graham's attacks and ripped fellow Democrats, writing, quote, "Generally, we are getting killed with Dems being weasels. Graham very strong on today. What about getting Biden to publicly debate him?" Real Clear Politics average of recent polls in the Sunshine State reveals Clinton with a 2.7-point edge over Trump when Libertarian Gary Johnson and the Green Party's Jill Stein are included. While Clinton is out west, President Obama made this pitch on the radio in Miami.
The only way it gets in the bag is when Florida puts it in the bag. Once Florida is determined, that can determine the election.
That is a luxury Clinton enjoys. While she is raking in campaign cash, she has the president and first lady making the case for her. Brett?
Mike Emanuel live in Beverly Hills. Mike, thank you. Now to breaking news overseas as a tense situation is getting more so tonight. The U.S. Navy has destroyed 3 coastal radar sites in Houthi-controlled Yemen. The Houthis are backed up and funded by Iran. The U.S. strikes are retaliation for the targeting of Navy warships by missiles originating from that territory in Yemen. Iran is now responding by sending its own warships into that area. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Kevin Corke is at the White House, looks at what may be an increasingly aggressive foreign policy by a lame duck president. But we begin with correspondent Connor Powell in our Middle East newsroom tonight with a possible standoff off the waters of Yemen. Connor.
Brett, tensions are rising in the Red Sea, with the U.S. increasingly be drawn into a conflict between Saudi Arabian and Iranian-backed groups in Yemen.
Charred metal and smoking debris is all that remains of 3 coastal radar systems. The U.S. Navy today destroyed the advanced guidance equipment after they were used by Shiite Houthi rebels to fire missiles at the USS Mason off the coast of Yemen last week. No one was injured and the American warship was unharmed. But the Mason was forced to deploy onboard defensive measures in response to the attack. The Houthi rebels, who are linked to Iran but have widespread support in Yemen, denied firing the missiles and today offered to help investigate the attack. The Pentagon, however, made it clear who it holds accountable.
These strikes came from Houthi-controlled territory. They posed a threat to U.S. warships operating in the Red Sea, and we don't take that threat lightly, so we responded.
While it is clear the U.S. is not interested in becoming more entangled in Yemen, the Pentagon did say today if American ships are attacked once more, the U.S. would respond again. Today's strikes mark the first direct involvement by the U.S. in Yemen's long-running civil war, which is seen by many as a proxy fight between Saudi Arabia and Iran. However, the Obama administration has backed the Saudis in their fight against the Houthis, providing some logistics support and refueling Saudi warplanes. But the White House is also growing increasingly wary of the Saudi military operation, which has accomplished little and been criticized by human rights groups for large numbers of civilian deaths. Just last week, Saudi airstrikes killed more than 140 people when they bombed a funeral home in Yemen's capital, Sana'a. In response, the White House announced a review of America's support for the Saudi operation.
The situation in the Red Sea is not only becoming increasingly dangerous, but also potentially explosive. In addition to the U.S. fleet that's there, there are at least 2 Iranian ships, 1 Russian and 1 Chinese ship off the coast of Yemen. Brett?
Amazing. We'll watch that. Connor Powell live in our Middle East newsroom. Connor, thank you. Pro-immigration groups are trying to revive President Obama's deportation amnesty program. The Washington Times reports a lawsuit in Illinois contends a Texas judge's suspension of that plan and the Supreme Court's tie vote on the case do not create a national precedent. The president sought to grant work permits and extended stays to as many as 5 million illegal immigrants. Up next, another big supporter of Obamacare bails out. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 59 in Indianapolis with indictments against 4 men accused in a massive fraud and kickback scheme involving nursing homes and senior care facilities. The suspects allegedly made illegal profits in excess of $16 million by inflating costs for virtually any item or service required to run that healthcare operation. The men have pleaded not guilty. Fox 26 in Houston, as a 911 operator accused of hanging up on thousands of emergency calls, is charged with 2 counts of interference with an emergency telephone call. 43-year-old Krishanda Williams was reportedly involved in thousands of so-called short calls lasting 20 seconds or less between October 2015 and this March. The Houston Emergency Center fired Williams in August. Obamacare is taking heavy fire once again tonight from a prominent Democrat. Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton was an early champion of the Affordable Care Act. Now he joins others in the president's own party who are jumping ship. Correspondent Rich Edson is here to tell us what brought about the change. Good evening, Rich.
Good evening, Brett. And to save the Obamacare market in Minnesota, insurance companies say they need massive premium increases next year as they are losing hundreds of millions of dollars. And now the state's governor, a Democrat, says buying Obamacare insurance for many in Minnesota is just too expensive.
The reality is the Affordable Care Act is no longer affordable to increasing numbers of people. Minnesota is not alone in this. There are many other states that have experienced significant increases.
Minnesota insurance officials have approved premium increases from 50 to nearly 67% for individual plans next year. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota, the state's largest insurer, is significantly reducing its Obamacare presence, claiming, quote, based on current medical claim trends, Blue Cross is projecting a total loss of more than $500 million in the individual segment over 3 years. Governor Mark Dayton's acknowledgement in Minnesota matches former President Bill Clinton's in Michigan. He detailed problems for Americans who receive small or no subsidies to buy insurance, saying that leads to a crazy system with premiums doubled and coverage cut in half. And one health policy analyst says the Minnesota and Michigan experiences are problems nationwide.
The whole country is watching what's going on with Obamacare and the exchanges because everybody knows that you're just one paycheck away from being in Obamacare. So it's a big deal. And the people who aren't getting subsidies are just getting hammered by these rate increases.
The Obama administration